Hello, everyone. We're so sorry for keeping you waiting. We had to wait for the others to come on. Please introduce yourself in the chat, or if you have any questions, you can use the chat as well. While we wait for the others to come on, we're gonna start in like 2 minutes.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Hello, Marian, Martha, Rosa, Iris, Michelle. Good afternoon, guys. We will start in like a minute, just because we're waiting for the others to come on. We have about 140 people registered. But we're not gonna wait for all of them. We're just gonna start in like Deborah, do you want to start now or
I'll give it 1 more minute, please.
okay, 1 minute's good. Good afternoon. Thank you for waiting. Okay, looks like we will be starting. Deborah, are you ready? I'm going to introduce you to
Yes.
everyone. Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's free webinar, Elevate Your Real Estate Business with Proven Tools and Strategies. It's my pleasure to introduce Deborah Jo Sherrard of Expert Home Lending, one of our valued affiliate business partners. Although she joined NCR just 5 months ago, Deborah has already made a wonderful impression with her expertise, energy, and commitment to supporting our realtor community. She brings strong lending knowledge and practical strategies designed to help you grow your business and better serve your clients. Please join me in welcoming Jo Sherrard. Deborah, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you, Ella. And good afternoon, all. It's my pleasure today to talk about elevating your business using what we call a buyer's pass. So with our buyers, we know we consider them more modern buyers as well as informed. So when I talk about modern buyers, no longer are they just opening a book or the newspaper to find out what the listings are or just going to Zillow. Now, what they're doing is they're taking the time to really investigate the data as far as what their needs and their wants are. So we need to transition to make sure as buyers agents that we are also in that modern stage. Also, our buyers now are more informed, and I think we will all agree with that. Our buyers are more informed because they are looking at their ability to buy and how can they, or should I say the clients, find the real estate agent as well as the loan officer to help them meet that goal or home ownership. Oops. So one of the things we were wanted just to explore, and if you could just put that in the chat, would you agree that our homeowners now or home buyers are more modern, and would you agree that they are more informed? In our next slide, we talk about how our buyers are getting their information. and how are they exploring. So when we think about this, next slide talks about next Netflix, and I know it's not about real estate, but think about the things and the activities that our buyers now participate in. So it's not so much them going to the movie theater anymore. It's more as they're going to, again, the digital domain and looking at Netflix and getting those movies that they'd like to say, as well as signing up for different packages on their for their television programs that they would like to be part of. Also, as consumers now, how do we shop? Some of your big box stores have gone to the wayside. And what is the biggest place that most of the people go to shop is Amazon now. And it's for everything from, clothing to prescription drugs to technology. So just everything seems to be in that space. And we have as um, real estate professionals, we've got to come to that space too. And here we are. What can I help you with? So when I see this, I think of Siri, I think of Gemini, I think of Chat GPT. How do we do this? So now you have, and we talk about your Siri now, so or Alexa. So now folks can go to Alexa and ask questions like, what houses, what open houses are going on in my area for this weekend? Or I need a real estate agent in my area to help me navigate the open houses that are occurring. How do I do that? Unfortunately, though, a lot of us are still at this stage where we're sending them a link to to apply for a mortgage. And I have been guilty of that myself. And we've got to bring them to the space where folks are using the digital platform to get there. So we need to move away from saying, click on this link and upload these documents, where now we're having more face-to-face conversations and consultations based on their needs. So this is the process, the home buying process. So the first stage is we look at, and you see I have it titled our client experience because it's all about the client. And so how do we have technology help us deliver the best experience for them to ultimately secure that home for our students? So the first step we look at is what we call the buyer's consultation. That is the big step. That is the foundation. This is where we talk about our applicants, our clients filling out the application. And the application includes, looking at becoming fully underwritten, making sure that we have gotten to the point where they will be funded for this based on the whatever the interest rate is at that time. And if we have to consider perhaps temporary or permanent buy downs for them to get the home of their choice. Step two now is the buyer approval. That's where I, as your loan officer, provides the pre-approval letter to you so that now our folks can go out and begin to shop for that home of their dreams. When they're going out and they have this pre-approval letter, we provide what's called a buyer's pass. Now, this buyer's pass is a digital format that they will scan and download into what we call our Apple Wallet. And this allows them to share this with their buyer's agent when they're going out and touring and looking at houses. Also, they can use this when the buyer's agent is not available to take them to a showing or to an open house. But now they can use this digital on their digital wallet, this buyer's pass, to communicate and show to the listing agent that they are viable candidates and that their everything has been verified that they are eligible. The next step in this process is the buyer's offer, or I'm sorry, yeah, the buyer's offer. So you see a house, your clients see a house, you're with them. And now, as the agent, you are now preparing a contract, a purchase agreement to send to the listing agent for his or her seller to review and accept the offer. Now, again, this is done digitally. So, and we will see one in the next slide. But when you see this, this allows the buyer now to submit this. And now we when we send this offer, they can make that choice and they can see all their financials as well as their ability to pay. And with this, so what happens is their offer is when the offer is accepted, the buyer's agent will send me the purchase agreement. I, in turn, will prepare a digital offer that contains the financial statements and financial options to the listing agent to talk about, how we're going to be able to fund this loan. So I will be giving them a call and also sending them this uh, via Digitize through the wallet. And then the fifth stage is looking at the buyer post close. And this is where, when I talk to our clients, our homeowners, is now we talk about, okay, you've purchased your home and everything is happy, we're closed and everything was successful. Now we're going to talk about perhaps, do we look at 6 months of refinance options in 6 months to a year, as their interest rates are fluctuate daily and sometimes hourly, just to make sure that we're always having our clients' needs and keeping them up to date on how they can be financially secure as we go through this. So I just took you through what we call our buyer journey. So the first one is that lead. We have that lead. That lead is your client. And one of the things that we're trying to, I'm going to work with you today is to talk about how do we gain not only that loyalty, but also create an advantage for you as the buyer's agent to have your clients offered accepted more times than other folks. And how do we do this? We do this what we call the digital tools. So we just went through the consultation. We went through the approval letter. The approval letter, this is when we can confirm that not only that their application has been verified and underwritten, but also the funding process. This allows them now to go out and shop, and they can do this with you as the buyer's agent or without you if you're not available. Then we talk about the offer. They find this house based on the pre-approval. And now no longer do you have to call up your loan officer and say, you know what, you have them approved for 750, but can we go to 780? Because you will know that we've already went through all the scenarios. The pre-approval letter will say the maximum amount. So that's not really an option unless you can negotiate with the seller that we're going to reduce the purchase price. Then we look at the offer, and that's where the negotiation from the buyer's agent plays a part. Can you get them some seller's concessions towards either their closing costs or some other things that they may need in order to secure this? And then we talk about the closing and the post-closing. This all occurs using the digital tool, which we call the buyer's pass. So this slide, I want you to take out your phones and scan this. This is what we call the buyer's pass that your clients get and load into their Apple Wallet. And I just want you to scan this so you can see exactly what this looks like. So I'll give you about a minute to do this. And I'll do this with you. So you just taking your phone, opening your camera, and scanning that QR code. So once you scan that QR code, it will open up and you should see a short video, and you can take about a minute and a half to play that Zoom video clip. And that's just an introduction from me saying who I am as the lender and what you are seeing as the buyer's agent. And if you need a few more seconds, please just drop that in the chat before I move on to the next slide. So what agents and folks like to see, what's nice about having this digital wallet? Now they get to see that their client has been fully vetted and verified as far as income. Their pre-approval letter is attached. There's information about from the lender. And also, if you, we can also upload your exclusive buyer agreement. So um, uh, with last year when NAR, when they put that in there as far as the commission thing, the exclusive buyer agreement really came into play. So this is something that I can add when when you provide me with that client when we work together on there, so that when they are going to an open house or something like that, the listing agent will see all that information. I'm just going through the chat real quick, and I just wanted to. Okay. So it seems like everyone is at the or okay with that. Okay. So we'll move on to the next slide. So in this next part of the presentation, we're going to talk about the seller's agent. So the two things we know about seller's agents now is that they're very selective and they're very strategic. And what do I mean by strategic? Just want to go back and see if there's a check. Oh, okay. So I see someone does not have the link for the buyer agreement. Okay. That buyer agreement, I'm just going to answer that real quick, was just a sample. And it's a sample from one of my other realtor partners. So I would be using your buyer agreement. I just wanted to let you know that is something that we can upload into the digital wallet when you're working with your buyers. Okay, I hope that answered your question. So right now we know that our sellers are very selective and they are very strategic. And when I say selective, now they're interviewing you as the listing agent. And a lot of things they want to know is not only are you going to put my house on the market for sale, but how are you going to do that so that we have multiple eyes on this market, on my property to get me the best buy. So we know right now it is a buyer's market, meaning that buyers now are being very selective about the home that they want. And so now sellers now they have to be just as selective, meaning that they want a certain price for their home. And what are some of the strategies as their listing agent are you going to employ to help them and get more eyes on their property? So the first thing we're looking at, we're talking about converting. So a couple of things that on this slide when we talk about converting is how do I help my seller get the best price? So some of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to provide them with updates about what's going on in their market. So we look here if we just look at the New Jersey market, what are some of the things that we're seeing that are maybe challenging for our sellers right now? So if we could just drop a couple comments in the chat on what folks think are some of the challenging things that our sellers are faced with in trying to sell their property. Give it about 20 seconds. Interest rates. Okay. So John stated interest rates. So one of the things is that on the interest rate side, that's more of an impact on the buyer. And it's not so much whether interest rates will go up or go down, is that remember the real estate, the interest rates for the real estate market is not based on, I mean, the interest rates are not based on the real estate market. The interest rates is based on stocks. And I always like to remind my clients of that. But however, we do have advantages as loan officers on how to adjust that because the rates, as you know, fluctuate almost hourly to this point. And right now we have a couple different ways that we can provide financing to to adjust that. So, but no, that is a good point, and that's where that we have to have strategies to help buyers see that they can afford this home. The next thing is creating. So this is where when you talked about interest rate, this is when we talk about rate buy downs. So the seller, as part of their uh, concession, can contribute to the not the buy down of the rate so much, but more to the closing costs. On the buyer side now, they would work with me to determine what would be the best financing option for them to purchase their property. So that's where you have both the buyer's agent and the listing agent working together in tandem. So I'm not sure if you're really familiar with that. But yes, prices are still very high in New Jersey. And yes, it is on the buyer side. However, this is where those negotiation skills come in for our buyers. Now, keep in mind, when I'm working with my clients to try and get them their offer accepted, I say to my home buyers all the time, make sure talk to your buyer's agent about getting and finding homes that have been on the market for over 40, 50 days. That way you're able to negotiate that. And we find that works very well on how we can do that. But there are ways for folks to get that because here's the thing, sellers it depends on how motivated the seller is to sell his or her home. If they're looking at a home and it's been on the market like 50, 60, 70 days, I would think that they would be, a little bit more motivated to reduce the price and come up with some kind of concessions for an offer to be accepted. Visibility. Now, this is a big one right now. Um, we have to make sure that we're getting this property looked at by a lot of eyes, or what we like to say in the business, we'd like to get multiple eyes on this property. And right now, most of our listings you will see on, Redfin, Zillow, Compass, and the like. So we do have part of this tool, the buyer pass, is getting more eyes on your property. And we do have a platform that allows for that, and that's something that we will get in more detail during the separate presentation. So I'm just want to just stop right here. Is we have two follow-up presentations. One for the buyer's agent. We're going to do a deep dive into how we can implement these strategies that I'm discussing, and we'll put them into practice. And then we will also have one for the listing agent also to do. So March 3rd is for the buyer's agent, and March 6th is and March 6th is the listing agent. So I just wanted to put that out there. So, and we will discuss what those products are and how we can get more eyes, or what we call more eyeballs, on this listing. So how so there was a comment, and I wasn't sure they were saying, and I don't know, maybe it was my comment about of houses being on the market for longer than 40 days. I'm thinking where somebody wrote not on that really rarely happens in New Jersey. And yes, I understand that, but because we're in a very competitive market, so it's a good thing for uh, the sellers, but not so much for the buyers. So, so you just have to be in a position where you're able to make that offer, and hopefully that your offer is the one that's accepted. So we look at seller strategies. And so the first thing is, as a listing agent, you want to win that listing. The second thing is, how are you going to market that listing? So let's just put a couple of comments, if I could get a couple of comments about how we win the listing. How do you currently go about winning your listings when someone wants to put their house up for sale? So I didn't see any comments, so I thought we'd just move on to the next slide. You take your phones out again and scan this QR code. I will scan it with you. So what after you've scanned this, you will see it'll open up, and then you will see a PDF. And this PDF, just a quick introduction. from me just stating how we're going to go about listing your house. And the first thing is we're looking at the comparative market analysis, so the CMA. You will discuss with your seller how we're going to do the comps in their immediate area. And so they may have a price of, we're talking about, if we're talking in the North Jersey area, it could be maybe 1,200,000. But when you do the comps, maybe it's 950. And discussing with them, how can we, what strategies can we take to get what they want? So that's where the whole thing about the marketing and getting eyeballs, multiple eyeballs on this property. So it may be more than just looking at folks in their current demographic area. So we have a product platform that allows us to go, as far out as we want. So maybe instead of just in their town of, let's say, Paramus, maybe we're looking at the entire Bergen County and putting this house out there so folks can see it. And then also showing, what the listing price is. And so uh, you might have buyers out there that, see the house, want to come out there and tour it, and after seeing that would be in agreement in making an offer based on their house and the pricing. Um, the other thing I wanted to just talk to you about when we are doing the listing. So let's say you find someone who wants to purchase this house for $1 million, right? They get the offer, the purchase agreement is prepared by the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent sends it to me. I contact the listing agent and say that that we are going to put in this offer. But before that, when I do the submission for this purchase agreement, I find out there's an appraisal gap. So even though the house, there was an offer made of 1,200,000, I found out it's only appraised for 1 million. Do your current loan officers have a plan for you for that appraisal gap? Can we just put a yes or no in the chat? Okay. So I see two people answered, and thank you for that. And the answer was no. Well, that's one of the things that my team and I pride ourselves on. So instead of coming back to the buyer and saying, guess what? There's a gap of $200,000, and saying to them that they're going to have to come up with additional $200,000 to close that gap. We will go back and look at, work with the sellers, I mean, with our buyers to show how we can look at the financing and look at some other options and work with the seller's agent so that we can address this in a better way, so that they're not having to come out of pocket for that amount. Um, the other question I have is, what happens when you get a lowball offer? Do your current loan officers have a solution for that or a plan for that? And because usually what happens is I come in and my house, I want to sell it for 1.2. I'll get an offer of, I don't know, let's say $900,000. How do I make up that difference? What do I do? Do I drop my price that, that low, or do they have a plan of action? So again, we do as a team, on my team, we do have options to address that. And again, these strategies would be a part of the presentation in the March 6th webinar. Again, if you could just take out your phones and we will scan this as far as the marketing of your property. And I will do it also. Okay. So with the strategic marketing, what we're looking at now is how do we present this property in such a way where it makes it desirable for me want to purchase it? So of course we do the usual as far as talking about the amenities and the floor plans and excellent schools and things of that nature. But the other thing we want to do is we want to present some of those incentives, those financing incentives that would want to make me look at this property and ultimately put it on the market. Um, from time to time, I do see ads when people have folks have listed properties where they would talk about, especially with builders. The builders are great at this. So any new construction, they're very good as far as financing options to get in your house. But for those of us who are not, when you're working just with the seller, what are some of the things that you can discuss with your seller that would entice prospective buyers to come and not only look at your home, but also, perhaps talk about, this is how you can own this home based on the financing. So, as your loan officer, these are things that we would talk about when you are listing this house, and what are some of the viable things that we can do. Now, it's interesting when we talk about financing is I would like to we will talk about the rate temporary rate buy downs, which is pretty popular right now, because a lot of people hear about the ARMs, the adjustable rates, and it's had a negative connotation over the years. However, when you look at like a 5-1 ARM, if you don't plan on staying in your house for longer than 10 years, those adjustable rate mortgages are not bad because it's going to get you into the door, right, at a lower rate, and then you're going to sell or refinance before that term expires. So those are some of the things that I think we have to make sure that we re-educate our sellers, I'm sorry, our buyers on when they're actually looking at home, but also our sellers too, that these are some of the types of incentives that we can present to prospective buyers when they are in the home buying process. So in this next slide, this is our final slide when we come full circle. So on the seller side, we're looking now as far as converting. How do we convert? Meaning we put I'm sorry, we start with marketing. How do we market this listing? We're getting it out there. Now, how do we convert it? Converting means that somebody has put in an offer and we have bought it. And then we start that cycle again with our next listing and talking about that. How do we continue with that process? And again, remember, this is a fluid process, just like the when we're looking at the process for the home buyer. Again, it's fluid. We start with the consultation and we end with the post closing. The post closing meaning now we talk about refinancing in the next 6 to 12 months. So they are with us. We have developed this relationship with our buyers and with our sellers. So three takeaways that I'd like for you to keep in mind as we come to an end is that I would like for you to review the items that you scan, the QR codes, in the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks, because this will uh, help you provide you with information as you select either the March 3rd buyer agent webinar or the March 6th listing agent webinar. Now you can attend both if you want. There's no just because maybe you haven't listed in house doesn't mean that you can't attend. I would love to have you both, at both if available. Again, it would be from 2 to 3. I believe that it's been posted in the chat, and it is on the calendar right now on your on the calendar right now as far as upcoming webinars. If there's any questions, please put them in the chat right now. The about anything that you saw or that you would like to see. And then again, I want to thank you for participating and hearing about this new digital tool that we can use for clients. I'm very, very excited about that. You can reach me by texting me at 908-208-5083. It's the best way because then it'll be quicker access and I can respond back. I look forward to meeting all of you at the March 3rd and or March 6th. So have a good rest of your afternoon, and thank you again.
Thanks, everybody. The links to those two webinars are in the chat, so you can just click on them to register. They're free. And with the recording, we will be sending those out to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact Deborah, or you can also contact us at info@ncjr.com. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.